Thanks for joining us for today's session on data-driven case deflection and self-service, how Salesforce and MongoDB do it. I'm Richard Tessier. I'm SVP Cloud Services at Coveo. I'm joined by Paul Rooney, who's Manager Proactive Technical Services at MongoDB, and Andre Robitaille, Business Solutions Manager at Salesforce. So, data-driven case deflection, how does this start? It actually starts with a search solution, an intelligent search solution for Salesforce. So Coveo delivers that. How do we actually do that? We bring all of the relevant content into the environment of Salesforce for your customers, partners, employees, where they live in the community, they live on the self-service portal, your agents will live on the in the Service Cloud console. We integrate into all of these different environments in Salesforce, and then we actually bring the content from outside data sources in there. How do we make it relevant? We make it relevant via the intelligent search capabilities that we have. I'll talk about this a little bit later and also introduce some of the results that our customers have seen. And we also do intelligent insights through machine learning in our Reveal platform. So, as the #1 search solution, intelligent search solution in Salesforce, what are we seeing from the data that our customers are sending into our system? Over the last 6 months, we've received more than 3 million events into our platform. Out of these 3 million events, we've had 35% of those actually being mobile events. So obviously that's, even though customers in our install base are both B2B and B2C, there's a fairly significant trend on mobile that I'm sure you guys are seeing as well. Interesting fact, Coveo is focused on search. What we're seeing is that less than 10% of the visits into your self-service portal or the self-service portals of our customers actually end up into submitting a case. So a lot of the visitors that actually come to your site are not, their first intent is not necessarily to submit a case. They're coming in looking for information. Some of them obviously will make it to the case submission, but a lot of them actually just are looking for information. All the more important, you should provide them with the best experience there. And then, as I said, we bring outside content into Salesforce. Out of our typical installs, we'll actually show 6 data sources into their customer portal environment. What that means is essentially they'll have, of course, some content from Salesforce. Some of those large customers will have content from multiple Salesforce orgs, as Andre will actually talk about a little bit later on. Some of them will have some Jive content in there, some Google Drive, some Box content. So all of this, Coveo can actually bring and add its intelligence layer on top of all of these different content sources. So now that you have all of that data, as I was talking about, you've got all that clickstream data, you've got those searches, those document clicks, which sources were actually driving the best results. You've got the outcomes of the various journeys that customers take on your site, which actually generated case deflection, which generated positive outcomes in your environments. These could be downloads, these could be purchases, and you marry all that with customer profile information. So your CRM data, obviously from Salesforce, great connector, Salesforce and Coveo. The purchase history that these customers are actually have actually done, all the marketing data. So out of this, all of this data, you can actually use our solution to drive better search experience relevance, drive case deflection, and drive proactive recommendations. All again amounting to a better experience for your users. What is If we talked about the aggregate information and data that our customers have, what about some specific results? So Adobe, a large customer of Coveo, actually has seen on their self-service portal, through the improved relevance that the Coveo platform provides, a 3x decrease in their no results query, driving that much more engagement from their customers on the website. So people coming into the website are finding more and more the information that they're looking for. And this actually continuously improves via the Reveal algorithms. And on the agent side as well, I talked that we integrate into multiple areas. On the agent side, they've actually seen a 2x increase in agent searches to actually solve cases across, again, the multiple data sources that they have, and 77% adoption of their knowledge agents. Illusion, another of our customer, actually focused on case deflection what they've actually seen, and we love these kinds of quotes, is that essentially people coming into the website are actually driving more and more and more searches, but they've got less and less and less cases being submitted. They've actually seen a twofold decrease in case, a twofold increase in case deflection on the first month that they actually rolled out the Coveo solution. Again, impressive results. Again, one customer looking at multiple data sources. In their case, it's CRM from Salesforce, obviously, SharePoint, some Drupal. So again, connectivity and relevance being key in this particular scenario. Proactive recommendations, what are we talking about? Standard search page, search CRM, a CRM type query, searching for forecasting. Basically, yes, you want to provide the search results that I've hidden because we don't really care about them for this particular aspect. What you want to actually be able to go there or to do there is actually recommend some content that is part of the journey of similar visitors. So in this particular case, I'm searching for forecasting. I could be interested in training materials around the forecasting aspect of that CRM solution. I could be looking for basics, for advanced, whatever, specific to sell. I could be looking for partner products around that specific use case as well. These are all things that you can actually power through proactive recommendations, looking at the visits of the current users and then being able to compare that over to all of the visitors on your website. So AI and machine learning at play to actually, again, provide the right recommendations for the users. So as a developer, why should you actually care about Coveo? All of what I've shown, what have actually customers used to implement the Coveo solution? Well, HTML, JavaScript UI framework, it's open sourced. You guys can actually start from that. It's a package that is available today. Obviously, that's what we use in the Salesforce integration as well, which is wrapped in Salesforce objects. And then scalability, high performance as a service, so you don't need to manage any infrastructure. The connectivity to Salesforce is all built in. REST APIs to actually go in and be able to further use the power of the platform. And last but not least, all of the usage analytics, self-tuning, and recommendation pieces that I talked about are things that you have access to as well, both directly from UIs and from all of the APIs that I've been talking to. So with this said, I'll turn it over to Paul to actually go through some of the work that they've done at MongoDB using these particular pieces of our solution to actually build their portal.
Thanks. So as Richard said, my name is Paul Rooney, and I work at MongoDB. MongoDB is a company that produces a database that is flexible and scalable and used in a lot of different applications, from startups to enterprises. And my role at MongoDB is the manager of proactive technical services. So the mandate of my team is working on tools and services that help identify problems in customer MongoDB deployments and giving those tools to our engineers and our customers so that they can resolve issues before they become critical support cases. And as part of that role, we were also leading the migration away from our Jira platform, which we were using for support. As you may have noticed, up to this point, I haven't said the word Salesforce yet, and that is because this is our first project using Salesforce in a support capacity. So we may not have all the best practices nailed down, but we did learn a lot in this project. And so one of the things I wanted to focus on is describing what our main goals were and how we used both a combination of the Salesforce platform and Coveo to achieve those goals. So we had three main goals that we were out to deliver. One was to our customers by improving their user experience. We wanted to focus the content that we were delivering on helping customers resolve issues and learn how to manage or develop against a MongoDB database. The second goal was improving the support engineer experience, giving them the tools they needed to understand who a customer is, what types of issues they've run into in the past, and have material available to provide best practice solutions to common issues that that customers raised. And so we introduced the idea of templated responses, actually using the Coveo platform, where in the Service Cloud console, engineers can look for issues, find a best recommended solution, and actually include that inline in the text in their responses to customers. And they can edit that inline and make those changes so they can customize a solution that is a known best practice into their conversation with customers. And finally, the third goal from a management perspective is we want to understand how well we're doing all of those things. And so the usage analytics that both Salesforce and Coveo in terms of customer and engineer search usage is a really important part of that. And so what we've done to this point is focus on the customer side of their experience with MongoDB support. And as you notice, right on the landing page, we have two main actions that we want customers to take. One, search. Search is so important to pull together documentation, knowledge base articles, tickets from our open source projects that still reside in Jira, and a number of other sources of data, including videos and YouTube presentations from our user groups around the world. Equally as important is obviously creating a case. We don't really care how a customer arrives at a solution to their problem as long as they arrive at that solution. So whether they feel more comfortable talking to us or searching the knowledge base content first, we just want to make sure that customers have a good experience. When customers do decide to search the knowledge content, we've got a whole set of federated sources of information that are federated using Coveo. As you can see, there are different types of documents coming back. These are all using the JavaScript UI framework that Richard mentioned just a few minutes ago. I'm happy to take any questions about that a bit later. We implemented it actually pretty quickly. This, in fact, I was able to put together in just a couple hours of work, and most of it was around styling how these results looked and building the templates for each of these search results. Now, of course, there's more customization that we can and have done, but it's really actually a very powerful solution to get going on federating searches across multiple sources of data. And then finally, I wanted to highlight some of the work that we're doing in more traditional case deflection, which is on the case creation page. As you start typing in the subject of your case, you're actually getting a set of search results on the right-hand side that may not only help you focus your question better, but maybe even resolve the question without having to create a case at all. And so this was one of the big wins that we were hoping for in terms of rolling out this solution. And the last piece of information I wanted to cover really was the idea of tracking or analyzing how we're doing. And so we're just starting out, but what we've found is that we're getting very valuable insight into the topics that our customers are interested in, and also the topics that our support engineers are having trouble explaining to customers. And if we had better knowledge-based content that was internally focused, or if we have customers that are consistently asking the same types of questions over and over again, we know that our engineers are looking them up, our customers are looking it up, so we should have knowledge-based content that directly addresses those types of issues. And to go along with that is understanding where we are missing content. What are the gaps in our content that customers are searching for? Maybe it's a new product like the BI connector. We had a couple of customers searching for that, and we have absolutely zero content for that right now. That is a clear gap, and that results directly in support cases, because if they can't find the content they're looking for, they have to ask us. and then we have to explain this to them. So this really helps us guide the development of knowledge content, training content for our engineers, and content for our customers. So we're really in the early stages, but this is really how we took advantage of both Salesforce and Coveo to get started in this journey. And now I'll pass it over to Andre to talk about how Salesforce is doing it.
Thanks, Paul. Hi, I'm Andre Robitaille. I'm a solution architect for the customer online experience at Salesforce, and mainly that has to deal with the customer portal, help and training portal, and all of the repositories we take you guys to when you get there. So if you've ever been to our site, you've probably seen this, which is essentially our launch point into all the various repositories that Salesforce offers, developer.salesforce, our Salesforce University content, Trailhead, and all the documentation that goes with it. So we're the second most trafficked property at Salesforce, and so the most common behavior being search when people come to our site. About 70% of that is first search. We found that people were having a very tough time 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we had steady customer growth, and that same volume was coming to our site, so we saw a slight increase in customers coming. The majority was administrators, and they were basically coming to log cases. The average click rank was very high. It was at like 7, so people were scrolling well below the fold to find what they needed. Self-service was abysmal. We had like a 1% deflection rate in terms of case deflection. And then our backlog was growing at such a rate that the agents couldn't support it, and as a result, we saw plunging CSATs. So after 2 years, we've been able to increase the site traffic significantly in terms of users, even greater than the amount of acquisitions of new customers we've had. Our average click rank is now down at around 3.5, so significantly lower and well above the fold, so no one really has to scroll to find the first content they need. Self-service has been going up 3x every year, so we're sitting over like 36% at this point, which is great for us. And our backlog's very low despite the continued customer growth. We've remained pretty steady. And for the past 25, 26 months, we've been over a 9 on our CSATs, so customers seem to like it, and they're giving us positive feedback about what we've done. So in terms of how we got there, the first step was kind of laying that foundation, doing a complete information architecture overhaul. That's basically what we did is we aligned all of our case categorization and our routing and assignment rules to the content itself. So we tagged all of our content with like-for-like values to start getting relationships there that we could see in the back end. Then we created event tracking kind of infrastructure around that, so that we have a standardized event structure telling us where people are coming, what they're doing, when they're clicking, and at what point they're clicking. And then having standard list of values so that we could see those patterns and continue to adapt and strategize around how we can do that. Then we increased our site traffic by making it a mobile responsive site, which it hadn't been before. We now see about 5% of traffic coming through the phone or tablets. And then we've now extended it through Reveal to start giving personalized and dynamic recommendations more towards our specific user once authenticated. So there is that general wealth of knowledge you're getting from the masses when everyone's coming there unauthenticated, but once you authenticate, we know what products you have. We know that if you're a Marketing Cloud customer, for example, that was on exact target, you're not worried about the Force.com stuff, so we're going to boost all the Marketing Cloud stuff. If you're Force.com with Sales Cloud emphasis, we're going to give you more Sales Cloud stuff. If you're a developer, we're going to show you more of our developer content than our admin catalog or our getting started stuff. So being able to do that makes it a little bit better for the user, and in turn, we see a lot better support traction. Just some high-level stats. 30% increase in our traffic to the site. People are staying on it longer and actually consuming the individual content longer, we see, rather than just opening stuff and leaving, going back to research. Our case volume has remained flat despite continued growth over the past 2 years, so we're not having to increase our headcount to try to adapt to the ever-changing product offerings. And then our average case resolution has gone down by a day. So people, the agents who also have the capability to see this stuff, are now finding those answers quicker. They're able to share it with their peers if they see similar cases. We're doing things where we show the agent that someone's already seen the piece of content before, so we don't recommend the same stuff you already have looked at. And I mean, this is pretty telling. 1% of our visits end up in a case. So we're not saying it's 99% deflection, because we only consider things that when people come to the site and specifically click contact support and start to go through a flow to contact us, that's the visit volume that we actually look at. But what we are seeing is that significantly less cases come in when people are looking at content. If they search and view content, we see about 2%. If they just view content, we see about 15%. If they don't search or view, we're seeing 30% of those people are clicking cases. So it's really our goal to get people to search and find that stuff. And industry trends will tell you that 70% of the people are wanting to see self-service. They don't want to wait for the 2-day resolution, the 4-day resolution. One of the really cool things we've been able to start doing with the help of Wave is to visualize this and make executive dashboards, make duty manager dashboards that are specific. So here's just kind of a high-level one where we can see the kinds of content. If I were to click on any of those, it would change all the different titles that are being viewed. We have our filters, our percentage breakdowns by the different types of users. And then we have all these links to sub-dashboards where people can really dive in and get into the details of what people are consuming, what size company are they, what are their products of interest, and then what kind of content do they need, so we can feed that all back into a continuous improvement effort, which has been very successful so far. I'm going to hand it off to Richard, and then we'll do some questions, I think.
Yeah, so as you can see, interesting stories from 2 different customers actually in different stages of their implementation. Salesforce has been at it for 2.5 years, started with a Visualforce portal, integrated the agents, then deployed Reveal, saw the improvements there, moved on to a more responsive design now, changing technology, more JavaScript in there, whereas MongoDB just getting started, being able to get this off the ground quickly. I'm sure Paul's an amazing developer, but doing that on his own, I think, was great. So testament, I think, to the quality of the integration in Salesforce and part of the product as well. So if you're interested in trying this stuff out, so you can actually find Coveo for Salesforce on the App Exchange. You can launch a free 30-day trial, have that integrated into your Salesforce production and/or sandbox environment. Documentation samples, everything's available from a developer perspective, and all the code samples can be found on GitHub. So knock yourselves out. Then if you want to learn more about Coveo, after this session, we'll be there, obviously, to talk. And we're also at the Lightning Lookout session on the 3rd floor. Drop by our booth. You get a chance to win a UE Boom 2. So that's interesting for sure. And last but not least, quick announcement at this Dreamforce. So we are essentially announcing a new product for GA in Q1 2017, which is actually AI-powered search for Salesforce Community. So what you actually saw today, all of the greatness and the goodness around relevance, all of the machine learning, all of the tracking, all the usage analytics built right on top of the Salesforce Search Index, lowering the barrier to entry, making it much faster for you guys to actually deploy, and smaller infrastructure, all of the mobile UIs as well, and the JavaScript UI available, all on top of the existing engine, so no need to reindex the content. So a lot of good stuff there. Freemium package gets started in minutes, and we're actually soft-launching that with SI partners this month. So if you're interested, again, either drop by at the end of the session or drop by the booth. We'll be happy to talk to you guys about this. So with that being said, open it up for questions. Any questions? So it's going to be the standard stuff. All the questions will be there by the bear after the session, is what I'm hearing. Oh, OK.
Hello.
Hello.
You mentioned that you measured deflection, case deflection based on clear intent to contact support. How do you define that?
So when you enter the portal, there's a place where we have buttons throughout the portal. There's a question mark at the top. There's a tile on the front page and things like that where people click and it says contact us, contact support. So once they enter that, they're going to be sent through a flow, and that flow is essentially asking them categories and types so we can route it to the right people if they want to choose chat or a case or calling us. So once they've entered that flow, those are essentially our users or visits who want to contact us in a clear way. If we were to take the pure volume of traffic to our pages, there's just so many people that view and don't create a case that it would look a little misleading in terms of how much we're actually helping people self-serve. And when I'm saying deflection, I'm talking about support case deflection. Self-service success, we have different measures. If people are finding the training content they wanted, that's a self-service deflection measure, or a self-service success measure rather than a case deflection measure. So we have different ways of doing it, and we're working with people like TSIA to kind of redefine that calculation.
Yeah, exactly. So like, sort of
I think we have actually, if you want to give your business cards, we've got actually people coming by, and you'll be entered in the drawing for the UE boom that I talked about earlier as well. So don't miss out on that. Any other questions? All right, so with this, we'll wrap it up. We're a few minutes early, so thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.